Hey, Tim.
Hey, Paul.
It's Christmas at the Pierce's house.
It certainly is. I've never seen so many beautiful boxes and beautiful things inside them.
So what was your experience when you opened the Hendrix amp?
First, I thought aesthetically, it's beautiful. I love the thing. The word indicator is a really good touch.
You know, we could have made it look like the original one, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to look something that was handsome and modern and up to date in us. It's got his signature on the back. All the people that look after his stuff were stunned at the tone of it, and so everybody signed off on this thing. But the fact that we got to open up one of his touring amps at Paul Allen's museum, that was fascinating because we actually got to see what was really inside. It was a rat's nest. They had done everything they could possibly do to keep the tubes from blowing up on tour. There weren't road cases. It said, handle with care, be careful with my amp, all over the thing, you know? But when we first made one, we were like, oh my God, it makes the bass pickup sound like the treble pickup.
The treble pickup doesn't sound harsh at all. I actually can sound like Hendrix on every pickup setting. And the out of phase thing,
that's cool.
Really, really good.
What we're finding, Tim, is these artists are finding their tone out of the amp, not his tone. And so I really, for all the people that are watching this, I'd like you to tell them what you would use it to get a Tim tone, not a Hendrix tone, right?
I don't really have to change anything on the amp. It more has to do with touch sensitivity, maybe turning down the volume knob, pressing on a pedal, which I'll do right now. The micro amp, I'm going to play really gently. Now I have a little delay here, but that I can use in a song. If I move to the middle position, I can do this. You see, a lot of it has to do with touch sensitivity with the pick. And then if I move to the bridge pickup, so it's all kind of in here and in the realm of pedals. Let me step on these three guys, and it gets even more fun. Back to the neck pickup.
Can you play something with a backing track so people can hear how you would use this thing? Do you have something?
Yeah, I got something ready. It gives me chills.
That's great. So when you talk about that journey, Tim, I was guessing. I had never been in one of the amps. All of a sudden, when we opened the amp, we weren't guessing anymore. That was the fascinating part. A lot of the stories that you read on the internet were true, but there were a few things that were different. And somebody who absolutely knew what they were doing had been in this thing, trying to get it to be roadworthy and have that tone. The old one we opened was somewhere between a JTM 45 and a Super Lead. It was in the middle somewhere. And so there's a little switch on that amplifier that adds the 68 tone. Did you see the little switch in between the treble and the mid-range control?
Oh, right here.
Yeah, if you push it up, it's 68. You push it down, it's 65.
Oh, brilliant.
So can you give everybody a little bit of a master class on what happens when a track comes in and all the layering that sounds. So, I mean, the musicians in my band got a hold of something you spent, I want it, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on, where you were layering stuff and it sounded like this big monster came out of the speakers. Can you tell everybody, give them a masterclass a little bit of, when you hear a tune and then what happens with these pieces of gear and how you're using the gear to get these tones that are on record after record after record after record?
Yeah, I could do it quickly too. I mean, in this day and age, certainly in the 60s or 70s, it wasn't so much this, but in this day and age, guitar is about orchestration. So let's say you might have an acoustic guitar, but you'll want to double it and put it side to side so that it stays out of the way of the drums. And then you might have a distorted guitar, and you'll put that through one speaker. But then the guitar that you double it with might be a little cleaner, and it might be a different scale length, so you get a tempering thing so that they actually kind of blend together well. You might have a Strat scale length on one side, a more traditional Gibson or PRS style scale length on the other side, and that gives you a tempering thing, and you actually will have different tones and different sounds for those two. Then you'll layer a clean part that maybe has delays printed, and then you'll lay other parts that'll be dry. In other words, and then the other thing you need to do is you need to think about spectrum. Okay, you'll have guitars that sit down low in the spectrum, and then guitars that sit in the middle and guitars that sit high. So it's literally like the violins, the cellos, the basses. And generally, I mean, you can do between 4 and 8 guitar parts on a song and really kind of just orchestrate it. Now, you never want to do too much. You want to guard against that. But it's frequency. You want guitars that come up in the high range, some that are in the mid range, some that are in the low range, some that are affected, some that are bone dry. And you also want to be very, very particular with panning, because you never want to get in the way of the vocal. The vocal is always in the center. I prefer to have guitars old school, totally panned hard left and right. So there's a guitar player all the way in one speaker, all the way in the other speaker. My favorite records, you put on the headphones and the guitars are only on the left and right. And then occasionally you might put one in the center for effect. But I like that. I like to have them hard left and right, layers, different frequencies. That's kind of how it works.
The thing I noticed about the track that you sent that I heard was while it was layered like that, it also had a cohesiveness that sounded like one thing. Which is not so easy to do. And now that's one of the reasons people are so interested in your experiences and your skill level, because it does have a way of gluing itself together as one thing. Do you have any words for people about that?
Absolutely. I have a friend, a keyboard player, and we used to talk about this for years on sessions. There are certain parts you want to disappear. And it goes against all the ego the guitar players have. But when you're making a song, you want some parts to be featured, but you want other parts to basically be pads. You want them to disappear. Now, if you take it out, it's missing, but that's part of the art of it. You have one part featured, but then you might have a couple of other parts that are just couched, and you don't necessarily know they're there.
That's cool.
I've been asked to actually show a couple of other guitars too, so I'm going to have Nigel hand me another one, and we'll get right to it.
So, Tim, we sent you an Archon. It's a new release for us, a re-release of an old amp that we tweaked up. But it's meant to record with, and it's meant to be live with. And I was wondering, do you have something that you could use it with? I know that you've played on so many records. You had mentioned something about a Shinedown tune.
This is a song I did 10 years ago with Shinedown. Occasionally I get hired to play pretty heavy rock stuff, and this is one of those. I'll dive into it. Did you hear that? I muted it, totally changed. And then if I don't mute, you get that nice squawk. Anyway, it's a really cool song called Devour, and those guys are friends of mine. They're a great band, so it was a good track to put up.
Are you going to play some lead over it?
Sure. Yeah, I'm all set up. Here we go.
So what's it like clean? What's that amp like clean?
Okay, so I'm going to go to another song because I discovered something, and I'm going to go to another guitar.
You know, Tim, most studio stuff I get I don't like, and we put you on the spot to see if it would fly right off the bat, and it sounds like it is flying right off the bat without struggling, which is a really good sign.
Well, I mean, that is one thing that I've had to do over the years is deliver these. I mean, it's about delivering pleasing sounds, you know. There's no, you get fired if you don't deliver, you know, pleasing sounds.
Keep that, whatever you just said. Did you hear that? It says you get fired if you don't deliver pleasing sounds. Well, you said you discovered a really nice clean tone with this that had a kind of a brother's tone, but there's also, you're not just plugged straight in the amp, you've got a pedal, right?
Yeah, so what I discovered, and the thing I'd like to you know, stress is that you've made a clean channel that is really, really clean. It reminds me of the reason people used high watts, the reason we used high watts is there's just this big open clean sound. Now the benefit to that, and you've done it with this, it's a great platform for pedals. When you have a clean channel like that, not only can you do the really pristine stuff, dead clean stuff that people like, but you can also, you create a platform for pedals that's kind of ideal. So what I did in searching for a lead tone with the clean channel, sure, the clean tone is good. I'm going to demonstrate it really quick. Here it is.
Well, that sounds really good.
Nothing wrong with that at all. It's beautiful. Now I do have delay on it. Let me, just for everybody, take the delay off so you just really hear the clean tone with reverb. So there's what you made. That's the channel that you made. It's great. Now that is jet engine loud down in my vault. So don't be fooled. It's loud and clean. But because of the way I listen in here, it's through speakers like a studio control room. So that is a good sound. But when I play lead, I need a little more sustain. I don't want much. So what I did is on the floor, I have one of these, which is basically an updated micro amp. Simplest pedal in the world. All it does is push the front end of your clean channel, right? So I have one of these black ones down underneath my foot. I will press it and demonstrate why it's such a great platform for clean tones. So here's the clean tone. Press on the pedal. It's the same sound. It's just kind of just pushed a little harder. You're basically just floating the front end here. Yeah. Okay, so now in the track, this is why I do it. So here's, I'm going to play a solo over this track. I never expected to get that tone out of this amp. It's, to me, it's another band I always loved and was raised on was the Allman Brothers, and I can do that with this amp.
Wow.
Didn't expect it.
What happens when these pieces of gear are sold, regardless of whether it's PRS or whatever, is that a box comes to your home and you want to use it to get your music played, and most of the people have little home recording studios, and you know, it is Christmas when a box comes to my house. You know, I come home all the time. I say, Paige, the box come today? And we wanted you to have that feeling today of what it was like for someone from Sweetwater who bought from Sweetwater to get a box at the house and try the gear. You know.
That feeling is always the same. It always feels like the first time, basically. And then you can almost tell the amp is a good amp while it's warming up. I don't know if you've experienced this. But I'll play, and as the amp warms up, I can hear it start to rise, and I go, oh, that's a good amp. And that happened with both of these. So congratulations on both of these. You can hear as the amp starts to warm up that, oh, and the reason it's good is because you don't have to negotiate. These knobs sound good pretty much everywhere, and so do these. Amps that are not good, you have to work and work and work and work to turn the knobs to make it sound good. Not the case with both of these. It's simple. I mean, you basically want an amp where you can just kind of go like this, and it still sounds good. I think you did it.
The whole team have worked really hard on it. What about a guitar? What happens when you get a guitar out of a case? For people that buy from Sweetwater, it's a good piece of information for any brand of guitar. So what do you look for when you pull this guitar, this brand new guitar out of the case? It's Christmas at the Pierce's house. What are you looking for? How do you
well,
test it?
It's playability first. So, you know, the neck has to feel good, okay? And basically, if you're getting a guitar in the mail, it has to be, it's a real risk, but you guys have taken that risk out because your guitars always feel good out of the box. And I'm not trying to be a PRS promotional machine or anything, but I trust that when I get a PRS at the front door, it's going to play great because they all do. It's not that way with every guitar in the world, and it didn't used to be that way with guitars. You had to actually get guitars into your hands. You had to actually try 30 of the same model to get one that played well. So to cut to the chase, it's playability. And then when you fire it up, it has to be clear sounding. It has to play in tune. I mean, really, really practical things. Really practical things. The neck, the feel, the playability, the clarity. Does it play in tune? And then you can start making music.
Thank you for that. I've been buying all these amps today. It looks like we're going to have a tool like we have with the pickups. Now we have a tool, we put a pickup on our machine, and it gives us a readout of exactly what it sounds like. And if you send me a pickup, I can duplicate its tone. So in a closed eye session, you're not going to know which one was the original and which one was that if we get the numbers correct. And it looks like we're going to be able to do it with amps. Then I found another PA top. But today, we had another really good moment. One of these Hendrix amps, we were able to get it to sound really English, really woody. And we did it by doing a wiring thing they did between 65 and 66.